All right. Takes the uncertainty out of delivery of constructed projects, does as well as any other approach, but at a lower cost. Has means to use statistical tools, which means we can make it more finite. Has an element of continuous improvement and transfers knowledge from planning to operations. It goes from the engineer, designer, owner, down to the O&M guys. That means it will be run the way it was intended to be run, at least we hope. When is it done? You want to start it in the beginning. Is it easier to move a pipe after it's been installed, or easier to erase a line on a piece of paper and redraw it? The longer you wait to make a change in a construction project, the more it's going to cost you. Everybody knows that. It's intuitive. So when do you want to get the commissioning guys involved? In the beginning, especially in new construction. And it will catch some of the big stuff, but it will not catch every problem. As you go through, you'll find that, yes, guilty of punch list, but your punch list gets smaller and smaller. Once you get a new construction building, it takes 2 years to get all the bugs worked out, typically. In a commission building, your bugs are worked out almost when you cut the ribbon. Who's involved? The owner, commissioning agent, building certification professional, whether that be Green Gloves or GGP or Lead AP, the general contractor, project manager, design professionals. You need to include, if you're doing a retro commission, you must include the occupants and the existing facility staff. They know what's really going on with that building. Okay, what is the common challenge? To change common practices to better practices. That's not only with the occupants or the owner or the support contractors, but it's also with the design professionals, and it's to say, hey, we're going to do a commissioning project. We need to tighten up the way we do business. Okay, people don't resist change as much as they resist being changed. It's the difference between being in the driver's seat and being in the trunk. Now, you encourage people to come on board to commissioning. You show them how it makes money for them, and they will join the party. But if you come up to them and say, we are going to commission and you don't have a choice, then it's like dragging them to the well. And even if you get them there, they ain't going to drink. Okay, the commissioning professional is known as the commissioning agent, commissioning authority, provides integral process versus a stack of disjointed experts. You got one guy that's steering, not 15 cooks in the pot. Works directly for the owner, does not work for the project manager, does not work for the construction manager, does not work for contractor. He works for the owner. He has no authority. He can only go rat you out to the owner. That's about his limit of his authority. Recommissioning, the difference between new construction and retro commissioning. Retro commissioning, the commissioning professional needs to be highly technical or an engineer. On new construction, he needs to be a diplomat with an understanding of the process. If he's not an engineer, it doesn't matter. If he's a little bit Ben Franklin, okay, that's who you want. The guy that can coordinate and keep everybody happy. Retro commissioning, he better be very competent engineer or technician. The role is to verify, not to inspect, recommend, not to repair. These are the different organizations that have different professional certifications. You will see a lot of different terms for commissioning agents, commissioning professionals. These are four that are typically recognized. BCA is probably, the CCP is probably the hardest certification to get. You have to be 100% commissioning agent for 3 years before you can even apply. You can't do it part-time. You've got to do it full-time. CCP is the only certification that I don't have because I don't do it full-time. But if you saw in the beginning, I have the other certifications. What's the advantage to a code official? Real simply, you can go in and ask for the commissioning documents, and you can have your job done for you. Because the stuff, you can see how it's going to be tested, you can see how it's going to be inspected, you can see how the timeline is, you can pick when you want to be there. You go to the commissioning agent, and you can schedule to be there during their testing. How much easier, how much better can it be for you as a code official? You learn, you implement, and you encourage in the commissioning process. If you don't, you're going to be waiting a long time for your ship to come in. Any questions?
I've got a quick one, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Bad economy. Is it more likely that building owners will do commissioning or less likely?
That's a really good question. Let me ask you, let me kind of turn the question back at you. In a bad economy, do you go and get your car repaired, get it tuned up, or do you buy a new car? And that's the same attitude that we have to have about buildings. We tune up and repair what we have. We make do with what we have. I think the commissioning process is going up as people get smart about what commissioning is. Like I said, remember the beginning picture when you saw Mamie Eisenhower commissioning the ship? The past director of the EPA once told me one of the reasons why commissioning was not included in the High Performance Act of 2007 was because the staffers who did it did not understand what commissioning was. They're getting educated. So you'll see it starting to be included in statute and code and conversation more and more in the future.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for being here. And this commissioning kind of the wave of the future, more or less, in the building industry, you feel?
Absolutely. It is one of the things to make sure that we get what we pay for.
And what do you think is going to be the thing that kind of gets everybody on board?
Well, they're going to find out that getting a building certification saying that this is a green building could end up being not what they expected. Sometimes it creates a point chasing scenario versus an integrated building scenario where we look at the whole building and say, okay, does it work together well, and does it provide what the owner needs for it to provide over a life cycle?
And having the opportunity to come and present this to this group of people at this Emerging Technology Symposium, give me a comment about how that moves things forward for you.
Well, these guys are the cutting edge. I mean, or they wouldn't be here, and they're the curious cutting edge. And I think in 30 minutes we didn't have a lot of time to go into any great detail, but I think I gave them enough for them to say, I need to learn more about that. And if I encouraged that, if I gave them sort of a, we're driving through the neighborhood, look out the windows quick kind of tour, then I think that I've accomplished what I intended to do.
And by being in attendance yourself, do you feel like you were able to pick up anything on how to maybe continue addressing it moving forward?
Well, you can't sit in the room without learning something. I mean, these are the best and the brightest, and I think I learned something from every speaker.